Think of a pie. That pie is made up of 3 parts that together drive career success. Why did I become an executive coach? I saw lots of great people fail to get ahead at work, while their much less talented peers blew right past them. That made me furious, but also curious. What were great people getting wrong? It came down to helping them re-examine what drove success and then helping them make critical shifts, one hard truth at a time.
Feel like you're doing everything you were told, but you're not moving ahead at work nor having the impact you seek? Then welcome to 97% Effective with Michael Winderoth, where we skip feel-good, happy talk and engage experts in pointed conversations about what it really takes to move the needle at work and your career. So if you feel stalled or frustrated, or seek that extra edge as you move to the next level, then look no further. This is the Hard Truths Playbook you never got.
Hi, I'm Michael Winderoth, and you're listening to 97% Effective. Over the past year, you've heard guests provide the hard truth about what really accelerates your career. One of the hardest truths to accept, that hard work, delivering results, your performance is not enough. And I can see my Chinese grandparents absolutely rejecting that statement. Research indeed, though, shows performance can only take us so far, and that there's a different set of skills that propel us, but many of us ignore. So it's really no wonder why so many good people, heads down hard workers, get overlooked, passed over, and ultimately frustrated. To make sure that is not you, in today's short episode, I'll introduce a simple model you can use to audit and remind yourself of the elements that do drive success so you get traction. Let's start by thinking of a visual. Think of a pie. That pie is made up of 3 parts that together drive career success: performance, image, and exposure. Pie. Performance is what you do. Image is how others perceive you, and exposure is how much the right people know you. Let's start with a simple analogy. Think about yourself as a product. It might be the greatest product out there, but if no one knows about it, no one can find it out there on shelf, how do they buy it or select it? So what we're talking about here is making sure that the product, yourself in this case, is known with the target customers or the right people. And that, you should probably engage in some form of marketing yourself. I'll stop for a minute because marketing yourself sounds icky. It feels really icky. Like, why can't the product just speak for itself? Or does that mean, Michael, you're telling me to stop doing great work, or to do the inverse, do crappy work? The answer here is not suddenly about doing bad work. In fact, if you are listening to this show, chances are you're doing amazing work and you will continue to do that. It's ingrained in your DNA. But I would argue, look around at the evidence and look around in your organizations. Is it a pure meritocracy? Organizations are different. This is not like school where you took a test and there was a number grade. And it's not like certain sports events, like a race, a sprint, where there is an objective and a clear winner. In organizational life, people are making assessments that are very, very subjective. They may not see the details. People are biased. They may have competing interests, different views. And the sad fact is that other people may be behind closed doors or lunches taking credit for the work you actually do. And it's a fact if we look at certain pieces of research on group projects, one person is generally viewed and attributed as the leader who's done most of the work. On research papers, women who are co-authors with men, be wary. You're not viewed with the same weight. And the way you present or how you show up People form impressions about you, often in the very first minutes, and that tends to stick over time, coloring people's judgments, yes, even of your work. So it's critical that we know this and we take actions that manage it when we're working in companies. And the central idea here is that it is less about us and more about them, that very idea of perception. And I want to take us to a previous episode with my guest, Richard Waine, who is a professional headshot photographer who had a tremendously insightful remark on that front. Listen here.
People might be surprised to know that your headshot's not actually about you. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because you're the person standing there to have their headshot made, but it's really not about you. It's a question of how you are perceived and received by your desired audience. When you flip the script a little bit, it changes the context. How do I want to be received? How do I want to be received and felt through all of the mediums that I'm putting that picture on? What message am I sending, and in what way am I sending that message?
Richard here is talking about your picture, but the core idea here goes to a larger truth. How are you being received by another person? Most of us fail to see from that vantage point. So as he says, flip the script. Look at it from the other side. Bottom line, you are still you, but the impression people have of you can be shaped by what they see, hear, or how they view the world. So it's important that you take that into account because it can project that performance and great work in the right or best light.
You've been listening to 97% Effective with your host, Executive Coach Michael Winderoth. If this interview is making you think, make sure to share it with a friend. Now, back to our interview.
And that brings us to where the I, image, and E, exposure in the pie model comes in. Let's go to the I, image. There's this saying, I loved it. It was from one of my earliest bosses, that brand is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. What are people saying about you? What words, associations come to mind when people first think about you? Actually, this is a great and very simple exercise you can do by asking other people, particularly those that you trust or feel like will give you sharp observations. What makes up our image? Part of that, actually a large part of it, is how you show up physically, your dress, your body language, your manner of speaking. A lot of time we are not conscious of those pieces, particularly as these last couple years we've moved to remote work. We think we're on Zoom and no one sees us, but people do. And you can control a lot of how you show up. Or you're 3 screens back in the Zoom and no one is ever seeing you. People are forming impressions of you all the time. When it comes to personal brand and image, listen to the warning from my peer, executive coach Anne Marie Segal.
People often want to do what I call a laundry list of what they've done in their resume versus thinking about their audience. And so they need to transform their own sense of personal branding. They've typecast themselves, essentially, before others will see their new brand. It's an inner transformation as well as an outer transformation.
Anne Marie here is talking about interviews and resumes, but there's a lot to learn in how we present in those forums and can apply to how we are talking every day in our work and inside of our companies. What do you want leadership to perceive? And to be wary of typecasting yourself. There's a leap, as Anne Marie says, that you need to make outwardly, how you express things, how people perceive things, but also inside. It's a concept in that podcast where she talks about first taking a step back. The bottom line, how are you showing up and people perceiving you? And finally, that brings us to the E in pie, exposure. Are you known by the right people? Power tends to reside up in organizations. Who makes the decisions? Who decides? Other people promote you, and you cannot promote what you do not know. That exposure, if we think about it, can be direct. You being seen, presenting, leading your name on projects or documents. Or it can be indirect, how other people speak about you when you're not in the room. That could be strong allies, could be sponsors, and we hope your boss who's advocating for you behind closed doors. Listen here to Alex Tremble. He's an award-winning speaker and trainer and host of The Executive Appeal. Talk about how he became, during his career, the youngest federal employee to create and run 3 federal government-wide senior leadership development programs. Alex was proactive and did great work, but he did 2 additional things. Listen here.
One of my mentors back in the day, and what he did intentionally was he would bring me to every single senior executive meeting he could. I wouldn't speak. I wasn't participating. I was just sitting in the room. Just sitting in the room. Why? Because he wanted people to know who I was. He wanted me to be synonymous with executive leadership, right? I didn't have to say anything, but what we've learned, again, and Michael, you and I know this, people will associate you. They will make assumptions based off of where they see you and what situations they see you in. So by me being in executive rooms all the time, I began to be seen as someone who must have value to bring. And then on top of that, what I started to do was there's a corridor. There's 2 corridors in that main interior building, one with the deputy assistant secretaries and one with the assistant secretaries. And what did I do? I found people on those corridors to talk to. Why? Because every time I walked down that corridor to talk to someone, I was being seen by all those executive leaders. And now I'm doing this weekly, and they keep seeing me. So now they begin to make the assumption and they believe that, oh, shoot, Alex must have something of value. He must have something to add because he's always here where leadership is, where power is, where influence is.
Alex ensured he got exposure and had a strong image, some of which he proactively managed, some of which a great mentor supported him with. Bottom line, exposure. Remember that in a remote world, especially if you are never on camera, you're easy to forget. You won't always have someone who takes you under their wing, so you need to be proactive in starting those conversations and building important relationships. So, take a deep look at your pie: performance, image, and exposure, your impression management. It doesn't have to be a radical shift, but you need to tend to that image and exposure, because if you aren't, people may be making up their own stories. Manage your pie to keep your career moving. What's the one most useful idea here for you? What's one action you can implement or try in the next week? See you next week on 97% Effective.
Thanks for listening to 97% Effective, where we skip happy talk and help you break through and ascend, one hard truth at a time. Help others discover this show. Leave a review and rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you like what you heard, you can get free resources, including the first chapters of Michael's book, Get Promoted, on his website, www.changwenderoth.com. That's www.changwenderoth.com.